Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Zora and I make movie and TV show commentary videos every single week. Last week I did a season 1 commentary on Lovecraft Country, and this week I will be talking about the pilot episode of my favorite show of all time, which is the CW's Arrow. So I tried to record this video as a get ready with me, but then my phone was playing with me about storage and I'm already done up, so I'm not gonna refilm it as one. And so I'll just be talking to y'all and gushing about this pilot. So don't forget to like, comment down below any suggestions you have for future videos, and subscribe. And now let's get into my history with the show and the show's history. Arrow first premiered in 2012 and it ran for 8 seasons on the CW. And let me tell you, I was a super fan. Like, I was obsessed with this show. Like, I cannot be a casual viewer of this show. If I binge watch this show, it is a serious binge watch and I am fully indoctrinated in the fandom again. Like, it's very dangerous to binge watch this show for me. So this show follows Oliver Queen, billionaire playboy, and he turns into the Green Arrow. Okay, so this show completely changed superhero TV. This show is a show that launched 1,000 ships. Like, it created a whole universe on the CW called the Arrowverse, and like the Arrowverse is like my MCU. Like, whenever they would have the big crossover events in like the middle of their seasons, that would be like my Avengers Endgame. Like, I was fully in there. It was like the best thing of the year. This show gave me my favorite TV show relationship of all time, Oliver and Felicity. I love their relationship so much. I know way too much about this show and their relationship, and I love Felicity Smoke. Like, Felicity Smoke is my favorite character on this TV show, and she's like my comfort character, and I love her so much. But unfortunately, she's not introduced in this episode, so I won't be talking about her at length, but just know that she's like the #1 in my heart. You know, like, the Arrow writers tried to get us to hate Felicity, but I always stood strong. They always told Felicity Smoke fans to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller, but I stood strong. So let's get into the plot. Like I said, this show follows Oliver Queen, and before the show starts, Oliver Queen has been stranded on an island off the North China Sea for 5 years. And this story starts with him being rescued and being brought back home to his family and his best friend, Tommy. He comes back home to his mom, Moira, and his little sister, Thea. And their family's business is Queen Consolidated. They're like one of the richest families in Starling City, and all that stuff. I'm not gonna hold you. I had a crush on Oliver Queen when I was younger. Before you judge me, I was a kid. I really had a crush on him, but I have grown out of it, so I'm a different person now. The doctor had told Moira, when Oliver was in the hospital after he got rescued, that 20% of his body was covered in scar tissue. Like, that's crazy to think about, because if you've seen all of the show, you know that Oliver wasn't on the island for all of the 5 years, and like he went through it for those 5 years. And so to hear that it's 20% of his body is really crazy. So weird hearing like the opening voiceover for this episode, because it's not like the iconic one. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is so different. And I realized how much of the like iconic one that is just like, that just lives in my head rent free. I'm gonna do the iconic voiceover. Ready?
My name is Oliver Queen. For 5 years, I was stranded on an island with only one goal: survive. Now I will fulfill my father's dying wish, to use a list of names he left me, to bring down those who are poisoning my city. To do this, I must become someone else. Something else. Dum, 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 dum.
It just gets the people going. It gets my blood flowing. I love it so much. So Oliver comes back home and he finds out that his mom is remarried to this man named Walter Steele from Queen Consolidated. And he like has a little snarky remark about it. He's like, I didn't know you wanted to sleep with my mother. And I was like, oh, that's kind of shady. But him and Walter are cool. Moira is very much like rich girl, like rich woman, you know, about her business. And we find out that she's like kind of up to no good. We get introduced to Thea, which is Oliver's little sister, like I said. And you know, she was going through it those 5 years when Oliver was assumed dead and when Oliver's father was dead, and she started using drugs and stuff, and so she'd be doing pills. I always really liked Thea. Like, I never had like a bad like feeling about her. She was kind of just there sometimes, but I really liked her. And the actress who plays Thea had an arc in Gossip Girl before, so I was like, oh my god, Will Holland. But a main component of this show is the flashback element. So for the first 5 years of the show running, every year would have flashbacks attached to it. So the first year on the island was the first season's flashback. So we find out about the events of the shipwreck, and we see that when the ship wrecked, Oliver was on that boat with Sarah Lance, Laurel's little sister. Laurel was his girlfriend at the time, and he was cheating on her with her sister. And so not only did Oliver's dad die and the whole entire crew of the ship, but Sarah died as well. Well, I say Sarah died because, you know, like, none of these people really stay dead for that long. And so Sarah isn't actually dead, but that actress who plays her in this episode swiftly gets replaced once Sarah comes back into the fold in season 2. So yeah, Oliver finds out that Thea has been doing the drugs, and he finds out at the same time that Tommy, his best friend, does, and Tommy's like another billionaire playboy, and Tommy like says like a little remark to Oliver that like Thea's like hot now, and it's like, ugh, it made me feel like weird, because we find out later on in the show that Tommy and Thea are half siblings, and it's so nasty. So in the first few moments of Oliver being back in Starling City, he talked about he wants to go see Laurel, he wants to go talk to Laurel, he misses Laurel. Like, he didn't cheat on her with her younger sister. And like, I will never forget that the like writers of this show thought that Oliver and Laurel were gonna be like the end game couple, like the main couple of this show. But nope, Felicity came in and changed the game and had them completely shifting gears, as she should. I never really liked Laurel. She was just annoying, and she was just being a dummy a lot of the time, like always going back and forth with Oliver, like he isn't the reason your sister is dead, or he isn't the reason you've been depressed for 5 years because you think your sister's dead. Like, she just, like, the neurons just weren't firing for Laurel, and she was just so annoying. And the thing is that I like Dinah Laurel Lance in literally every other like platform. Like, when she's Black Canary in any other like TV show, movie, I like her, and I like them together. But like in this show, no way, absolutely no way. And that's why like when I like watch season 1, I'm like, when are like we gonna see more of Felicity and Oliver? Like, I don't want to see Laurel. But yeah, Laurel was like really bogus. She was like, it should have been you that died on the island, and I wish you would have been in hell for more than 5 years. Like, it was crazy. Later on, Tommy and Oliver get kidnapped, and the kidnappers are trying to find out what Oliver knows from his father, and trying to figure out if his father told him anything before he died. And you know, this is when we first see Oliver be like a vigilante, and he's like fighting these kidnappers, and he's like killing them, and he like broke one of their backs, like on some like Bane breaking the bat like type stuff. Like, that's what he was doing. So like, that's our first sign that he is not like our like normal vigilante who doesn't kill people. Like, no, Oliver was killing people in the first season. The detective who's like investigating the kidnapping, his name is Quentin. He's Sarah and Laurel's father, and so, you know, he's holding a grudge against Oliver and like having these snide remarks, and like it's completely justified. But like that's kind of a conflict of interest. But I really like Quentin Lance, like the actor who plays him. I really like him, and you know, over the course of the show, you grow to really like him as a character. So Oliver has this list of names that he got from his father before he died, and these are the people who have been poisoning Starling City and just like ruining it and taking advantage of the disenfranchised people, right? And so his whole thing is he's like gonna cross these names off the list and get justice. Oliver's whole like catchphrase when he's the arrow, the Green Arrow, the Hood, whatever, is you have failed this city. And these are all the people he thinks have failed the city. So the first person Oliver tries to cross off this list is Adam Hunt. He's this guy that Laurel is prosecuting for stealing money from these poor people in the Glades, which is like the like poor neighborhood in Starling City. And so he decides that Adam Hunt will be the first on his list. And so we then meet my boy Diggle. I love Diggle so much. That's my boy right there. He is ex-military turned private security guard, and Moira hires him to protect Oliver because she's worried about the kidnapping and thinks they might come back and all this stuff. And like later on in future episodes, Oliver like gets Diggle to be like his partner in crime, and then he's like a part of the original Team Arrow, and I just love him so much. Oliver like dips on Diggle in the car, like Diggle's driving on the road, and like Oliver like gets out the back seat as he's driving. And so when he does that, he goes to the Queen Consolidated Foundry building, and he completely like converts it into being like his like headquarters. And it's kind of like our pseudo bat cave, because Oliver Queen really is our Batman figure in the Arrowverse. And so that's going to be his base of operations. And so Oliver goes to get Adam Hunt to give him back the money that he stole from all these people. And so he's blackmailing him, and he's like, you have until this time, this next night or whatever, to like wire the money. Oliver has this like homecoming party thrown by Tommy to celebrate his return, and you know, Oliver's still trying to hold his like playboy like persona to try to like trick people into thinking he hasn't changed, to try to like draw attention away from himself and try to like make people think he's not the Green Arrow, though it's painfully obvious. Because why would anyone in their right mind not correlate the fact that, oh, this green vigilante came into Starling City at the same time that Oliver Queen came back? That's kind of suspicious. Like, whatever. At Oliver's like homecoming party, there's a lot of debauchery, you know, like I've said it once and I'll say it again. Playboys. They were playboys, and Tommy's still kind of like a playboy. And so Thea's at the party, and Oliver like sees her buy drugs and like confronts her about it. And you know, she's just trying to cope with all her trauma. But Oliver like takes her drugs away and like throws it away when she's not paying attention. Laurel shows up at the party, and she can't leave well enough alone. That's why I don't like her, because she never knows when to move on. And so she comes to the party apologizing for the things she said to Oliver and all that stuff, and like trying to forgive him, all this stuff. And then, you know, we find out that Adam Hunt did not wire the money to this bank account so Oliver can redistribute the money. So he figures it out so that his party will be right next door to Adam Hunt's residence, so that when he ends up going over there to like fight them and all this stuff and get the money, he has an alibi because he's supposedly at the party. So he goes next door, and you know, he has like the original green hood and is like doing vigilante stuff and like fighting people and shooting people with arrows and all this stuff. And he ends up shooting an arrow that's like tricked up to connect to like their banking information, and he shoots it in the bank vault, and he ends up getting the money back. He really is like Robin Hood, and that's like the joke. Like the police department will call him like Robin Hood, and the media will call him Robin Hood, because it's an easy correlation, because like, you know, he wears green, he shoots arrows, all that stuff. So then we get another flashback to the shipwreck, and we find out that Oliver's dad did survive the original shipwreck, and so did another guy. And Oliver's dad shoots the other guy and then shoots himself so that Oliver can survive. That blows my mind. Then we find out that Tommy and Laurel had like a fling going on when Oliver was presumed dead, and like Tommy actually really likes her, but you know, Laurel still caught up on Oliver. And I really liked Tommy and Laurel together, but Laurel is just, the neurons don't be firing. But I have to move on, because this is not going to be a Laurel hate video. The episode ends with a big reveal that Moira, Oliver's mom, orchestrated Oliver's kidnapping so she could find out what he knows. And it's a big cliffhanger, and that's where our pilot ends. So here are my general thoughts of the pilot and Arrow. I could genuinely talk about this show for hours on end. Like, I have so much knowledge stored in the back of my mind that is completely useless unless I'm talking about Arrow, and I just love it so much. Like, I could gush about it. Like, I know it has its problems, and like we all choose to forget about season 4 because it was just traumatic. I'm not gonna talk about season 4. I love this show so much. It holds such a special place in my heart, and I like it's just so like comforting to me. I love it. Maybe in the future I'll do more Arrow videos if anyone's interested in them. The tone of this pilot is so melodramatic. Like, Oliver's like the CW like poster boy of like brooding guy, brooding bad guy, and it's very serious. But then, you know, when Felicity gets introduced, she brings like the real levity and the humor and the charm. And so, you know, you just have to wait a few episodes. But season 1 is pretty good. Season 2 is excellent. That is an excellent season. So, you know, it starts off really strong. And that's all I have to say about the pilot episode of Arrow. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment down below any recommendations you have for me for videos to talk about in the future, and subscribe. Next week's video, I will be keeping with the DC Comics theme and doing my first movie commentary. So I'll see you in the next one.